Hi, it's Nick Shell, the internet receding hairline guy. Here is what we want to talk about today. My wife did not marry me for my looks. Let's take that in. My wife did not marry me for my looks. Now, you may be tempted to say, well, maybe your wife's not that good looking. No, that's not the case. I have a very good looking wife. I lucked out. With that being said, and I've mentioned this many times in my videos before, that we have this preconceived ideas that you have to have a full head of hair to be attractive enough to get a pretty girl to like you or marry you. I think that's somewhere in your brain as far as fear of losing your hair and having a receding hairline. That you'll be less attractive and therefore a pretty girl won't find you attractive, that you'll have to settle for someone who's not attractive. And I hope no women are watching this video, because that will sound very probably sexist or whatever, but women aren't watching these videos. This is for guys, and this is to address our insecurities about receding hairlines. So because you're the audience and not them, I'm going to say that liberally. Let's talk about that. So my wife has always told me that she fell in love with me not because of my looks. She never thought of me in that way until the moment I asked her out. So that's an interesting concept, because guys typically don't think that way. I mean, I saw her in the very first time, I was attracted to her, and I saw her from across a room and walked over to her. Where for it's the complete opposite. I guess part of the attraction is that I approached her from across the room because of her looks to begin with. So obviously that led into friendship, which led into dating, which led into us getting married. I'm not crying, I just have an itch in my eye, I promise. So I just want to be very clear that we have to remind ourselves that even if we put pressure on ourselves, that if we don't have the right hair or enough hair or whatever, that attractive girls won't like us, it's completely just not valid, because you are being judged. You're being judged by women, but not really for your hair. That's really not the main point for them. And I keep saying this over and over, but I think we need to hear it over and over. We got to be reminded of what actually attracts women to us to begin with. So obviously, I talked about being emotionally intelligent. I did that in a couple videos ago last week. But these are the things that actually matter. And you know, a lot of you guys are young, you're teenagers, and this is good for you to hear, because I want you to hear it from me. I don't know if anyone in your family is going to tell you this. Maybe they don't value this to the extent that I do. But I'm telling you, especially if you're young, go to college. That's one of the most important things you can do as far as being attractive. Now, please don't believe the lie that money doesn't matter. Money totally matters, especially for you as a man. You're going to be the provider of your family. Now, granted, you may only bring in half the income, but still, you need to see how far you can go in your education. You definitely need a 4-year degree. That's very important, because what happens is women are attracted to men as providers. That's one of the things they find attractive about you. So go to college. That's very important. That's more important than hair, is that you go to college, that you become educated, that you become skilled, and you have a career. Money matters to women. And I get it, because even if women are bringing in half the income or even more, the fact that we are providing and working hard is a huge thing. So things like that matter more than hair. Of course, I've mentioned this before too. Making her laugh, that's huge too. Marilyn Monroe was quoted as to saying, if you can make a woman laugh, you can make her do anything. And I firmly believe that. You know, a tree fell down. That is so random. Like, I've been walking by here every day and this tree's never down. Look at this. It just like fell in the parking lot. I wonder what caused that. Let's see if we can figure out what caused it. Look, it just fell down. How random is that? Oh, can I get there it is. Yeah, just fell down in the parking lot. Usually you don't see a tree falling down in the parking lot. So, and you know, as far as my wife falling in love with me, again, if my looks wasn't the thing that she even noticed until I asked her out, that must have meant I was funny, because I met her not knowing her, and we talked for a couple hours there waiting in line. And so I must have been funny, whatever I said. And so being funny matters, providing and therefore hopefully being educated and having a good steady job, that matters too. Being good with your money, providing that stability for her in those ways matters a lot. So when she first meets you, she may not be officially doing it, but she is probably sizing you up. What's your plans for the future as far as your career goes? What do you have going on there? She's looking for a man with a plan who she knows is going to provide. That matters more than looks. I mean, that's almost an understatement to say that matters more than looks, that you're funny and money. I mean, and it's not, and I'm not saying that women are that shallow. I mean, if I were to say that, then I'd have to say we're so shallow that we care more about their looks than anything, you know, because I don't want to take it just to that level, but I want to prove to you that your hairline, I was going to say it's on the bottom of her list. I'd say it's probably not even on the list, because what makes you attractive has a lot less to do with looks. I mean, it's the opposite of how we are attracted to women. But the whole story that I've just shared exemplifies this. I saw her from across the room because she was beautiful. I approached her, and that led to us falling in love. Yet she didn't see me as physically attractive until I asked her out. So there's the psychology that reinforces exactly what I've said. So again, my wife didn't marry me for more looks. Now, with that being said, am I a good-looking guy? Who cares? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm average. But that never mattered as part of the story. So I think that's interesting, because you could be better looking than me, but that doesn't mean you have any real advantage over me. You could be less attractive than me as a man, and even then, I may not have an advantage over you just because of that. It's this other stuff that matters. So if your insecurities and fears about losing your hair have to do with not being attractive to women, then I think you need to think again, because you're thinking with a man's brain instead of with a woman's brain, which I guess is a good thing. If you're attracted to women, you want to have a man's brain. But it's a matter of not thinking like a man in that extent. Instead, be funny, go to college, get a good job, provide, and obviously at the same time being caring and sensitive and being a good listener, and not being emotional, but instead being in control, being emotionally intelligent like I've talked about before. That's what's going to attract a woman to you. As far as hair goes, yeah, that's just so irrelevant. My wife did not marry me for my looks.